Today we'll take a closer look at the India's strictest anti-copying law, which has come into force in Uttarakhand. Governor Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh has approved the Uttarakhand Competitive Examination Measures for Prevention of Unfair Means in Recruitment Ordinance. Under anti-copying law, candidates involved in cheating will be punished and a ban of 10 years will be imposed on them. There is a provision to impose a fine of 10 crore along with life imprisonment or 10 years in jail for the copycat mafia. Apart from this, there's also provision to attach the property of the copying mafia. This comes after the UKPSC paper leak, which led to cancellation of exam for around 1.4 lakh government job aspirants. And to understand the implications of this law, I'm joined by an illustrious panel of guests. Joining us through virtual platform, Mr. S. Raju, former chairman, Uttarakhand Subordinate Service Selection Commission. In the studio, we have with us Mr. Harshit Mishra, Deputy Advisor, Education Niti Aayog. We also have with us Mr. Sanjay Chadha, Advocate, Supreme Court of India. I welcome all of you to Sunset TV and thank you so much for joining us. And Mr. Raju, let me commence the program with you. This stringent law of the country will come into force in Uttarakhand. Take us through the journey of this law along with key provisions.
Yes, definitely. This today only the ordinance came out. For a long time we were suffering because at present the law is just a simple IPC 420, the famous 420. Cheating is everywhere in that. This is not very strong enough to do that, and we need a special this thing because this mafia, they will keep coming again and again. So you will have to sort of have a heavy financial punishment so that they suffer and they stop these activities. But it will go on. But anyway, a law is necessary. In spite of that, I can say only one thing, that while law is definitely necessary, without law we cannot do much about it because the present law is weak. Still, exam, if you do online exams, like the paper pen exam, what they call OMR-based exams, in these exams, things go by, to some extent, faith on the people. Like, for example, the press, where you are printing the paper. Now, printing the paper is, there are about 10-20 people involved in that. Anybody can leak it. So to some extent, it depends on, still it depends on the faith. But this law will help quite a lot in straightening everybody out.
Absolutely, sir. We'll have to see and study the implications of this toughest law that Uttarakhand has actually come out in the form of an ordinance. But Mr. Mishra, I'd like to understand. The police usually say that leaking occurs when the question papers are transported. The other part of the problem is that students have novel ways of faking their identities even. How do we improve policing? What could be the methods?
So actually, first of all, I want to congratulate government of Uttarakhand for this very, very stringent law, which is much awaited. Actually, we have seen in recent past, in a lot of states like particularly Rajasthan, Bihar, Jharkhand, and also in Uttarakhand, various numbers of paper leaks. So first of all, I want to congratulate the government of Uttarakhand for this very, very stringent and one of the most toughest law across the country. And Uttarakhand, now this particular law of Uttarakhand may be termed as one of the best practices across this particular law for anti-copying this thing. As far as your particular question regarding the agency and all things is concerned, so actually the point of action is the implementation.
That's right.
We need to implement in toto. We need to, so now there is an ordinance, there is a law, but we need to frame now after the law, after the ordinance, the next step for the government is to make the stringent guidelines.
That's
Actually,
right.
Guidelines for the law is very important because guidelines are something through which any law can be implemented. Now it is then after the framing of the guidelines and the framework, now the whole scenario will be up to the implementing agency. What you are saying, the police, what you are saying, the other institutions which are managing competitive examinations. So what type of standard operating procedures they will follow. So all will depend upon the further further honesty, further transparency regarding the competitive examination in the Uttarakhand will be dependent on the very, very stringent guidelines, very, very stringent SOPs followed by different agency, including the police agency. What they are saying that paper leaks may happen while they will get transported from
That's
one place to another. So what I can say that proper SOPs are required. How papers are transported, how we can use the modern technology while papers are being transported. These all things are very, very important. And I think state government is thinking on these very lines, and they will come up with very, very stringent guidelines and the SOPs.
Very important point there, sir, that implementation is very important and we'll have to take care of the guidelines and the SOPs. But Mr. Chadha, you're an advocate of the Supreme Court of India and also the fact that you hail from Uttarakhand. Now, Uttarakhand has this law, but we've seen in other states also, there are repeated cases of paper leakage. But the state governments have failed to actually implement tough laws. Education is a part of the concurrent list. Do you think that time is ripe to have a very stern law, a national law?
Kriti, I must begin with, as my friend has done, congratulate my state to be the first state to have such law first. Second, on your question, why a law is made? The purpose of law always is to serve the society. Today, what we were seeing all through, various states, I don't want to name any state here. We have seen the paper leak is there. And unfortunately, despite all the efforts, we were not able to stop it.
That's right.
In such circumstances, this law has come. Now, it was the requirement of the society. It was needed for the better future. It was needed, and that's what is the role of the law. Now, right. As our earlier speaker was saying, that this law will at least, such and strict provisions are there. They will, there will be a person who is doing it if he thinks that there is a life imprisonment, if he thinks that there is a penalty of 10 crore rupees, if he thinks that if he is caught, his entire properties will be attached. That kind of strict provisions have been made. Why? So that there is a fear in the mind of those people who are involved in this kind of activities. So I think it is a welcome step, and it is a beginning, as you said, that national level we should have. But there is a problem here. Why at national level we can't have it right away?
Yes, sir.
Because it is a state subject. Education is a state subject. Now we have to see that other states which are prone to this kind of activities, where we have seen earlier this kind of paper leak was found, they should come up, jump in and make this kind of laws made in their own state assemblies. They should come up with these laws. They should see that these laws should not only be made, this should be very, very, I just tell you two lines I would like to add here. In last few months, approximately 40 odd people were arrested. But this law cannot be applicable on them. But yes, because
different states, yes.
So in Uttarakhand itself, about 40 people were arrested, and it is not one or two, several such incidents happened. So it was the need of the hour, and I think at the very right time, government of Uttarakhand has taken this step.
Absolutely, sir. But Mr. Mishra, I'll get back to your earlier point again about implementation. Mr. Chadha talked about a stern law that will create deterrence. But again, the point is of implementation. And unless we have a national law, do you think things are going to change? Because one state, of course, could serve as an example, but we need to replicate it in other states as well.
So, I agree with you that as far as the implementation is concerned, we need some centralized thing. But number one, education is in the central list. And number two, this topic is not solely related to the education. The topic is related to the competitive examination of the various departments. So the competitive examination may be of the education department, for example, teacher recruitment, maybe the recruitment of nurses, recruitment of doctor, recruitment of patwari, and so on, so forth.
That's true.
So this topic is related to the state competitive examination, whether it is state public service examination, whether it is state teacher recruitment examination, where it is state driver, bus driver recruitment, means any type of recruitment examination covering all the departments of any particular state or union territory. So we cannot say that the whole topic is related to the education only. The topic is related to the overall gamut of state administration. So actually it is under the very purview of the state government particular, for example, Uttarakhand or any other government. So as far as the various state and UTs of the country is concerned, so they have to make their own anti-copying law, what Uttarakhand did. What I have already said, that now Uttarakhand can be treated as a lighthouse state.
That's right.
So other states and UTs which are facing this type of problem, and I know that a lot of states are facing this type of problem, can be guided by the best practices adopted by the Uttarakhand and can have their own anti-copying law. This is number one. Number two, the Nakal Mafia. The Nakal Mafia operates interstate. They are interstate. They have their own network agencies. Police personnel can talk very detail on this. So to check Nakal Mafia in toto, to check their operation from one state to another state, we may have a interstate law.